Some people call me the space cowboy. Some call me the gangster of love. Yes. Welcome to Discovery Paranormal, where we do talk about all kinds of space cowboy stuff and whatever. Tonight's show, I've been wanting to talk about vortices, or you can also say vortexes. They're both proper. I'll let you know. I like saying vortices because it's cool. So, what a vortex, an energy vortex. There's a lot of talk about UFOs and how they pop up, and people look up sometimes and they see like a hole open up, and then out comes a whole bunch of these little balls of light. Yeah, we're in control of our own universe. Yeah, yeah, man. Fishbone album. Give a monkey a brain and they'll think that they're the center of the universe, man. If you love Fishbone, go out. If you don't love Fishbone, check them out. But anyway, it's like this. No advanced species will ever want to deal with us because I don't want to deal with us. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to deal with us. So why would you think some advanced species would be like, hey, we can learn this from you? I mean, I can't learn anything from, mainly many of the subspecies, even on this planet. It, it, it's mind-boggling that people think that they put themselves up on the superior level. Like, of course, these aliens would talk to us and whatever. No, they don't talk to us. They kind of go along like we don't exist. You know, kind of, kind of like that. I'm sure they have a look in. I'm sure they probably laugh their little asses off at what goes on. But mainly, I want to know how they get around. I really don't care what their politics are, and what their day to day. You think that, any kind of advanced species, like any kind of thing, would have a day to day. Even your cat has a day to day. They'll wake up, they're going to mess around, mess with something, knock something over, eat their little treats and food, sleep, get up again, do the same thing over again, poop, still scratch around a litter box for 30 minutes, sleep, you know what I mean? Wait for the middle of the night so they can knock everything off off the counter, sleep. So anyway, the day to day of an alien, what they do every day. If, that's what I'd be more interested in, what their day to day is like, and if they have any kind of version of coffee that's on some kind of higher level, man, that'd be very interesting too. So obviously, if they're ramming around this planet, there gotta be a reason, and many people think that they're not really extraterrestrials in the true sense because they're basically from here, and we're the more modern species that came to be. I don't know. You can say science experiment, you can say lab, you can say whatever. All those ideas have been kicked around. Accident, whoops, or humans are like fleas on the dog, or like we're some kind of infectious virus on the earth, like the earth has herpes, human herpes, you know what I mean? Can't get got a bad case of human herpes, can't get rid of them no matter how it tries. Got some COVID, can't get rid of them. Humans are, the numbers are increasing. So, but I want to know how they get around. So I talked about ley lines not that long ago, and people reached out to me with a further. They want to know further what ley lines are, even though it's a world of information you can look up for yourself, you lazy bastards. I'm happy to talk about it, because this is what we do here, man. So, ley lines are these magnetic lines that circle the earth in a pattern, and they really don't shift around or move. Many of them intersect with one another. And in those very spots where they intersect, you find a lot of interesting things like Stonehenge, the pyramids of Giza, like even the Bermuda Triangle. All these places mysteriously intersect, which I like because that leads me to believe there's some kind of connection with everything. And then obviously the ones who built those facilities had a reason beyond sexual rituals and things like that. Of course, you gotta occupy your time with things. That early humans, especially, wasn't much going on. They didn't have any cell phones, which is what did they do with their time? No magazines either. So, but we're going to talk about healing power. We're going to talk about negative energy. We're going to talk about vortex energy. We're going to talk about the top 10 energy vortexes around the world, the vortices, right? And all about ley lines. So let's just start with the ley line thing, right? So, all right. So, what if I told you that there were straight lines crossing and crisscrossing the earth? You'd think, okay, what are these lines? And it's interesting. Also, I'm going to add this on a personal note, a ghost, a ghost hunting note, a paranormal investigation note. There's a lot of activity on ley lines. When I was kind of without with my partner, we were working the Erie Canal chain, just along, the Erie Canal, and it didn't happen on purpose. It was an accident that I just kind of noticed. We just kept doing these investigations because one person would say, "Hey, I know a place that's really active, whenever," and we go into that place, and I know someone having experiences, and we go into that place, and then you look, and it's like, here we are along this water trail, and I think water's good for paranormal activity, right? And electricity, energy moving, negative ions, and all that other stuff. Yet, but along the same route are these ley lines, and there's two, and then another one comes down and intersects, and not far from where I am, there are four ley lines that intersect right over this Letchworth State Park. If you look at Letchworth on the map of upstate New York, so, and then there's of course a lot of UFO sightings over these areas. There's a lot of mysticism because there's other types of sightings and other types of activity. So you say to yourself, this is a natural occurring energy field from the earth. The earth is like a big engine, you know what I mean? And it creates electricity, creates a lot of stuff. So that's why you have these ley lines. So anyway, let's get into this. All right, so ley lines are basically the latitude and longitude, in one sense anyway. They're not lines we can actually see on the map, but you can go to Google Maps, and definitely they have it laid out where the ley lines are. But the theory is that the important monuments, the Stonehenge, pyramids, like I mentioned, other very significant cultural things around the earth, all connect with them. They all intersect, and that's where a lot of these ley lines really come together. So the idea of ley lines basically took hold in the 1920s when a photographer and amateur archaeologist noticed straight lines that connected ancient sites in certain areas of the United Kingdom. So it made sense. A road, for instance, might be built between an ancient place of worship and a fort. So, and maybe if ley lines were nothing more than that, imaginary lines that seem to connect two important things, we would have an easier time just accepting them. But at some point, some other interested parties hijacked the idea of a robustly embellished story. Some claim that the ley lines carry powerful magnetic fields, while others say they hold a psychic power. Still, others are pretty darn sure that the ley lines is somehow associated with UFO landings, or that there are healing properties found in the vortex of the ley lines. So let me ask you this. Do you think if it's something that's constant and circles the earth, and if you had a ship, right, and you wanted to navigate, those would be the perfect things to use to navigate the earth, and understand where you are, especially since a lot of it, navigation is line of sight. But if you could follow these ley lines, that's an interesting way of getting around. Just for instance, but no one's ever found any evidence of energies of any kind on the ley lines. There doesn't seem to be a lot of objective basis for believing that UFOs land there. I don't know about land. Why would you have to land even? I mean, think about it. All the reports that people say of UFOs, you're gonna know a lot of it's just, BS, right? And then you're gonna have a percentage of people that had some kind of real experience that they believe that they had. But it never comes out like a fun, happy experience. It's always some dreadful type of thing that has anal probing and whatever, and they're very specific on the anal probing. You think they'd knock you out before before that, but I don't think they care. I don't think they care, and whatever. And how many times do you need to anally probe somebody anyway before you learn something? Come on. Then again, a dog will sniff your crotch every time, no matter how long you've known it. If it's yours or somebody else, it doesn't matter. They'll sniff you every time. That's just what they do. So I kind of put that in the terms of aliens. That's just what they do. They just want to sniff your crotch. All right, so let's get down to the exact science, who's not an exact science, right? You can make all kinds of patterns from all sorts of locations, but it doesn't make them hold any distinct power. So, as in the case with ley lines, while there might be some compelling reasons that local sites are easily navigated between, it doesn't mean that they have a mystic purpose, but it's a usable thing, right? A usable thing. So, what are ley lines used for then? It's just a thing. If it's there, you can use it like water, like anything. It's there. So if you're some kind of advanced species that can, you know, very easily detect these ley lines, you could definitely use it for all kinds of things, right? So, and basically, Stonehenge. Yep, we got Stonehenge as an energy portal positioned at the center of a ley line where ley lines intersect. So there's several of these sites around the world, and they all come together. This It's just very interesting how they're all connected by ley lines, right? And let's see, let's get into let's get into this other thing. Get off of ley lines for a minute. So you know what ley lines are? They're basically an energy field that doesn't really change; it stays the same, and it's a thing that can be used, right? It's an available tool to somebody that could use that available tool. All right, energy vortex, power spots, whatever you want to call them. So locations of energy vortices in the world has fascinated lots of people. In Sedona, they've got four well-known vortices, and I'm told that there's a whole bunch of others. People flock to them. Energy people, they want to do yoga and all that other stuff. They all think that what comes out of there is good stuff, right? It's going to help you in some way. Somehow it's going to enable you to do whatever the hell you think it's going to enable you to do. I don't know what you need in life. Like me, I need coffee, you know. I'm very simple. Do I need a vortex? I kind of feel like you can tap the energy no matter when. I was heavily into martial arts, and when I was learning martial arts years ago, that was discussed a lot about tapping energy. We called it the dragon's veins, and tapping that energy no matter where you are, creating the vortex, right? Do I think that it's beneficial to be in those areas where there's a vortex? It could be good energy or bad energy. Nobody ever said everything coming out of there is going to be good. But this is like a location where anywhere on Earth where you find that energy concentrated, right? And in fact, I had Dick Sutphin on the show, one of my first shows. I think maybe it was the second or third show I did on United Public Radio Network. And Dick Sutphin out in Arizona was one of the new age guys who founded the whole vortex, made the vortex thing popular. You know, aside from the Native Americans that have been using it years, for years and years, Dick Sutphin came along and found him. You know, was a very interesting guy to talk to. I knew he passed away a couple years ago, but he was the one for putting it on the map. I know I talked to, I think, Phil Donahue, and that was like a big deal. I remember watching that show when I was a kid too. How crazy is that? Having to watch Phil Donahue, and then there was this dude. So anyway, there are several sacred sites on the planet that believed to be energy vortices. Egyptian pyramids, which we talked about with the ley lines, Machu Picchu in Peru, Stonehenge, Sedona, of course, and let's see, and Uluru in Australia. Australia. The swirling energy fields move up and down in a cone like pattern, and it's thought to affect the people and or animals in close proximity to it. So what is a vortex? An energy vortex is based on an imaginary energetic lines called ley lines that crisscross the earth and intersect at certain points. The location of sacred sites across the world is thought to be interconnected by these lines. These points of intersection can be positive, spiraling in an upwards clockwise direction, or negative, spiraling downward in an anti clockwise direction. A positive vortex can be found when ley lines meet at a 90-degree angle. These sites are believed to promote a good health and peaceful mental state. Like Syracuse, New York, you got three that you got two that run together along the Erie Canal. There's another one that comes straight down, which is interesting for Syracuse. You wouldn't, if you went to Syracuse, you wouldn't think vortex in that place, but it's a very mystical place, Syracuse, New York. You have to go there to find out, right? All right. So, in contrast, when a negative imbalanced vortex occurs, lines are said to be intersect in a less positive way. These negative energy lines are believed to be draining and able to cause poor mental, emotional, energetic, and physical health. See that? So, not all rosy and good. What does vortex energy feel like? Are they real? People who have visited sites where energy vortices are thought to be active have reported certain positive effects on their mind and body. These include physical, mental, emotional healing and resolution, feelings of peace, psychic abilities, which are enhanced. See, I'd want to go to a vortex and like eat a pizza. You know what I mean? Like, if you could enhance the experience, you get some espresso, got your pizza. I want a pizza vortex, man. I want to go to like Sedona and just have like a nice Sicilian because that'll enhance it. You like, what was it like? It was saucy, man. Saucy, cheesy, a little doughy. I feel the rush, man. The rush. A rush of energy. That's what people feel. Some have written about tingling sensations in their body or a feeling of consciousness shifting. Apparently, if you are really sensitive, if you're an empath, you get a whole another experience out of these vortices, right? Which are varied. So a sense of euphoria or more creative in another way, of which locations seem to affect visitors. So, like in the four major ones, I don't know. I know people. I haven't gone to these places yet. I know people who have, and sensitive people and all that. You ask them about it, and they're not really. Wow, man! I can't believe it was this amazing thing, and oh wow, wow, blah, 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 blah. You know. So I mean, I kind of feel like I said, I feel like you can tap that energy, but to be in those places, it might be extra special, or could be dangerous. Are vortexes or vortices dangerous? Some report paranormal activity in the vicinity of the energy vortex. Negative energy vortices are said to have negative feelings associated with them. Visitors to these areas report feeling tired, drained of inspiration, suffering headaches, ill health, and depression, or feelings of anxiety. You see, that's not stuff. That's not stuff I feel like I want to seek out in any particular way. You know, I'd kind of want to have a good time. If I went to any of these places, and I'd like to, I would love to go to Egypt. You know, I got friends there who invite me and the whole bit. I'm just scared to death about going to Egypt. I don't get my head cut off. I got a pretty big mouth, so I'm exactly the kind of guy that they would behead, and they'd laugh about it too. So yeah, there's always that. But the pyramids, I'd love to check out the pyramids just to see them in person. I think it'd be fun. The Bermuda Triangle is one spot, and the Devil's Sea are considered dangerous places where negative energy vortices are active and are feared by many people. That's an interesting statement because to say something is negative just would have to say that there's all this calamity around there. And yeah, you have the pyramid. I don't know necessarily. I think more it's more elemental that causes the calamity, right? If you're flying through some kind of vortex in your airplane, your ship on the water or whatever, something happens to that. That's more like because there's the ocean and the whole bit. I don't know. I know people tend to avoid those areas, and I've heard all kinds of interesting stories, especially about the guy in the small plane. It was some kind of Piper or Cessna or whatever, and he went into this time hole and ended up hours down the coast where he shouldn't have been. He's got a pretty interesting story. So energy or ley lines, of course, we talked about ley lines. And this is all kind of connected. Connected. See that? Have been thought to exist since ancient times in places where they meet, especially at those 90-degree angles, like the pyramid, like in Sedona, like Stonehenge, right? They were believed to hold positive energy that could influence the well being of communities. The idea is not generally accepted by the scientific community. Scientists, they're so funny. You got to think outside the box. You don't discover anything. That's my humble opinion in the world of science. But I know a lot of them, and I've dealt with a lot of them with Cornell University. Physicists, things like that. And you know, some people you could have great conversations about all kinds of subjects that aren't really written in stone. Of more theory, and theory is a big part of the business. Of thinking about going forward and what can be created. What's this? What's that? Whatever. There we go. So let's see. I think we'll talk about that in a minute. Energy, man. Energy. Don't you think that I mean, everything is energy. You know that. You know that. If you listen to this show, you got the kind of head where you understand this already. That everything is energy, right? And energy is created. How the oceans flow is energy is created. How earthquakes happen and the pressure from plates pressing against one another. The Not just the pressure, the radio waves that come off of that. So all of this stuff has to be able to be under a certain control to have everything come together and hold together. What gets you into matter, dark energy, things like that. The soup of the universe. What holds everything together, right? So the Himalayan mountains, right, tallest range in the world, stretch across 5 countries. They're believed to be sacred by the Hindus, Buddhists. Mount Kailash in Tibet is called the seventh chakra of the world. Not by me, but by others. I guess that's cool. One of the most revered sites in the world, Machu Picchu in Peru, is thought to hold electromagnetic energy underground and is believed to encourage spiritual awakening and physical healing. I believe it because in South America, you find, all these great crystals, a lot of them come from South America in those mines. Underground, you have just an amazing bit of just nature. You have crystals, you have quartz, you have other things that move electricity, things that draw, things that give off. And we don't even know anything about it yet because we're humans. Come on, look at people. Come on, you just watch the news and look at all the stuff people lie about. You think that humans know anything? And people bullcrap about it. I like to know things. Me personally, I like to know things. I learn things from this show when I research these subjects and really, dive into it. I learn things from that, and you learn every day. It's a life is a learning thing, learning journey. Stonehenge, we talked about, is found in England and dates back to the Bronze Age, where it was probably a holy site. You don't even know for the Celtic priests called Druids. Modern scholars believe it was most likely used as a burial ground. But they've kind of debunked all that too, And there was a bigger part of Stonehenge. They actually found like an outer rim, the outer rim. So they're still discovering through satellites and through satellite detection and mapping. People are finding lost civilizations in like in South America in the jungles, civilized cities bigger than New York. These vast cities that nobody ever knew about. On nobody knew about it on the grand scale. Maybe a few tribes or people they talk about it, they got it in their family line, they know what happened there. So if you're going to seek out these power spots, the power spots, you want to be able to tap into the energy, right? And use it for whatever the hell you want to use it for. What do you really need? When I talk to people about like magic and whatever, or people ask me these questions, because they think I'm some kind of an expert, and I don't even believe in experts. I believe people know what they know, and there's all levels of who you're going to get and what their interpretation of facts are, and whatever. So you just know what you know. To say expert is kind of a blanket word because you could have two experts together, but yet they have two totally different degrees of knowledge. And one will have the right degree of knowledge, the other one will be closed off. So experts. So let's think about Asheville. They say there's a magical energy surrounding Asheville that's undeniable to the residents. Yet you can ask dozens of creative people who call the city home, and there is something in the air that draws people, and it's not surprising. The Asheville falls directly in the middle of an ancient source of powerful energy called the ley lines. Okay, so we already know what ley lines are, so I'm going to tell you that. Ooh, this is interesting. Multiple famous places are located on the nodes, which are where these lines intersect. Stonehenge, pyramids, we talked about that. Most civilizations across the world are aware of these mysterious lines and have their own names for them, such as dragon's lines in China. You see, they got it wrong. It's dragon's veins. And fairy lines in the Lower East Side of New York. Ah, and of course, San Francisco. Asheville is perfectly situated between two major lines that stem from the Bermuda Triangle. With the Vance, Asheville's supposed to be a really nice community, and people are real chill. Big music scene. The Vance Monument downtown being the exact midway point between these two. It's no wonder the creative, tangible energy surrounding the city is so strong when it's located between such powerful lines. I'll tell you this: with the east coast of the U.S., there is so many UFO sightings right in that area. And you have to ask yourself, why there? I mean, they're messing with Navy ships. They're following Navy ships. That's where the Nimitz was approached by those objects floating above the deck of the ship and all that. So, all right, these lines are affect fertility, agriculture, mood, memory, perception, uh, ultimately consciousness itself, because you are what you do and you create the world around you, right? Okay, so let's see. Sarah Thomas, a licensed acupuncturist and crystal healing practitioner who owns Clarity Acupuncture and Clarity Stone Medicine in Asheville. You can tell she's like super fruity. Anybody who's in that. I've read so many people in this world super fruity, man. I mean, they are fruit walking fruit salad. You know what I mean? And it's hard to have a conversation because these people are so spacey. They truly exist on another some other level. You have to sink down to that level to communicate with them, man. I knew this woman. I think she owned this new age shop and had like incense. Her name was Mina Colada. Mina Colada. Hey, if you're out there, Mina Colada, say hello. It's just hard to have a conversation. They're off. They're off. You know what I mean? They're out there. So I just had to say that when I read the acupuncture. I like I believe in acupuncture. I believe acupuncture it worked for a lot of people, and it's good to have. And the crystals are interesting. They're fun to look at. They're fun to play with. So is every gemstone. I don't know if you guys have ever played with gemstones. I had a friend in the jewelry business, so I was able to get my hands on a lot of just to go into a shop and sit there and just kind of play with all kinds of uncut stones and things like that. Fun stuff, man. Truly fun stuff. You can go online and buy these bags of uncut stones, cheap, cheap, cheap. When they're cut is when they charge you the big money. I'm not talking about diamonds either and things like that. I'm talking about just all kinds of stuff, and they're just so much fun to play with. I don't know if you guys ever got into like those tumblers, those rock tumblers that you put your rocks in with the stuff and it tumbles around. Makes a hell of a noise for I don't know how many days before it tumbles into high polished stones. Just cool stuff, but they're fun to play with. That's all that I'm saying, right? I'm a believer in metals too. Silver is the most reflective metal on the planet, and it's a great conductor of electricity. A lot of Native American cultures very much believe in wearing silver and jade, together, or the turquoise too. Turquoise is very big, huge. Turquoise and silver. I like that look too. It's a nice look together if you're into that stuff. So, let's see. So we're basically vibrational beings, right? I mean, that's how we communicate. That's what we do, and everything is waves of energy. If you get into physics, if you strip physics all the way down to its basic nature, there's just waves of energy, right? So, and we live in a vibrational world. Yeah. So basically, let's see. Here we go. A spiritual counselor. Uh, Deanne Hampton, a spiritual counselor who moved to Asheville 21 years ago in response to a strong innate urge. I have to move to Asheville. I must. I have to. She probably said, Deanne, you've got to go to Asheville. And she's like talking to herself. Yes, I know, Deanne. I need to go to Asheville. I'm being called. Called. You ever been called to a place like called to a place. And no matter how much you fight it, for how many years, it's still calling to you. And there's no rhyme, no reason. No reason at all. You don't know. You don't know anybody there. You don't want to know anybody there. You know what I mean? It's not even a place you want to go to necessarily. Like West Virginia or Kentucky. These are places. Kentucky, you get the whiskey people. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. That's a fun whiskey scene in Louisville, Kentucky. Uh, but West Virginia. Nobody ever needs to go to West Virginia. I ended up driving through a very small portion of West Virginia because I was traveling somewhere else, and it was just like maybe a few miles, just from Pennsylvania into Ohio, like a cut through in that section. And you see the signs. You're entering West Virginia, and like a few minutes later, you're leaving West Virginia, and you're happy you didn't get like raped or something, whatever. That deliverance and all that stuff that happens there. There's people from West Virginia. It's one of the poorest states in our country, unfortunately, and there's a lot of poverty, suffering, and all that are going on there. But it's not a state that you would drive to for any particular reason. It's not Florida. Well, I'm going to go to Florida and go check out that place with the big 6 foot rat. What they call it, Disneyland. I'm from New York City, man. We don't like big rats. It's kind of a thing. It's in our DNA. It's in our DNA, like having a good bagel. Like when you travel away from the city, there's no such thing as bagels. And they can call it a bagel. They can try to say it's a bagel. Now, pizza, on the other hand, if they have their own flair, their own debonair, they can make a good pizza. And it could be in buttfuck Idaho, and they can make a good pizza there, right? But not a bagel. A bagel has a very specific formula, like bourbon, American bourbon. There's a specific formula of how many years, who the person is who's making it, and they have to kind of tend to the barrels all those years, and they expect a very specific criteria. Should be the same thing for bagels and bialys, man. Same thing, but it's not. So okay, you don't have to drive through West Virginia. If you do, don't stop. I didn't stop. I didn't set foot in West Virginia. I just drove right on through. Asheville, I've never been to, and I've been looking at a map lately. I was kind of thinking about going down there because there's so much activity. You know, really like this UFO activity. I'd just like to go with the camera and kind of hang out. It's just like constant sightings. People are constantly seeing things, and like I said, they're harassing the military and all that on the coast. We're all in that region, all in that really that area there. Okay, so if you start exploring, and in Asheville, you'll discover nature is more free from physical, emotional, and psychic debris. By the way, this is the same place where they're seeing pterodactyls flying around. There's a video, and I know a lot of stuff is faked, of course, but there's video of like pterodactyls flying around, and they fake that. They're pretty goddamn good at it, you know. And I have a series of pictures from the U.S. of pterodactyls going back into the 1800s, of the soldiers who killed them and other miners, people like that, whatever. So, don't think that a species like that can't be hanging around. But in Utah, there's pterodactyl sightings, and also in the Carolinas, there's pterodactyl sightings. And it's the same place with that creature we just talked about recently, like kind of the East Coast skinwalker type. And that thing is out there. People have seen it in the woods. So there's a lot going on. Don't you think if there's portals that things can walk through? I would say, when this hiking group was up there in Vermont years and years ago, a whole bunch of hikers disappeared right in front of people's eyes. The rest of the hikers, they went through some kind of magic door, and they were gone, and they never came back. So there you go. Okay, let's see. You can use. They're telling you to take some of these stones. You can go out and transmit energy, whatever, man. Uh, okay. Through accessing the healing energies of the ley lines isn't exactly science. Both Thomas and Hampton, these people are talking about this whole time, believe that all you really need is yourself when you're trying to connect. That's all you really need. I will agree with that 100%. That it is you, your pineal gland, your third eye, it is you that connects, your soul that connects, not the crystal, not this, not whatever you want to use, you know, that's just trinkets, things you play with, but I'm talking about making that connection, when I do my martial arts and I get into that head, I'm connecting with the universe, I'm tapping into everything. So it really is that. It's you. It's you. So you're gonna ask me what's the 10 energy vortices around the world, the Earth. Let's say Earth. Glastonbury, England. Okay, this town is the southwest part of England, claimed to be a strong energy vortex. It is home to several ancient and medieval sites that add to its eerie vibe. I love places like that. The Glastonbury tour is one of the main attractions. It's a tower located on a hill that has ties to King Arthur. Glastonbury Abbey, let's see, is another main site. It was once a monastery that was completed in the 8th century and said to be where two highways of energy meet. Glastonbury is said to radiate peace and balance, and the feeling is supposed to travel from your stomach to your heart to your head as you move through the different vortices. Sedona, Arizona. We talked about that. Due to its glorious red rock formations, Sedona is one of the top destinations for a rejuvenating retreat. Known for its great views, incredible hiking spots, and glorious spas, Sedona has all you could need for the perfect weekend of me time. Me. Sedona as a whole is considered an energy vortex, but there are four locations in particular where the energy is strongest. One of the main vortices uh, is the Chapel of the Holy Cross, a church that has a huge cross and tower built into the red rock. Let's see. Marguerite Brunswag Stod, the mastermind behind its creation, said the church was a spiritual fortress, so charged with God that it spurs man's spirits. Rah. So let's see. What is this? Es Verdra, Ibiza, Spain. Es Verdra stands tall in the Mediterranean Sea right off the coast of Ibiza. The giant limestone rock stands 1,300 feet above the sea and is rumored to be the tip of the lost city of Atlantis. It's the third most magnetic spot. You see, now people in Jamaica will tell you that the Blue Mountain is actually the tip of Atlantis and how those islands all slid as one shelf slid under another. So interesting there. Anyway, it's the third most magnetic spot in the entire world and causes compasses to lose direction, even makes birds go dizzy. Limestone is considered to hold the maximum concentration of energy, which is what makes its atmosphere so energetic. Visitors leave the rock feeling inspired, creative, and healed. Stonehenge, we talked about. We know all about Stonehenge, dating back almost 5,000 years, yet no one really knows its purpose. The historical site houses 100 upright stones arranged in a circle, but they don't even know why, when, where, who, what. It's just there. It's there, right? Uh, let's see. Haleakala volcano in Hawaii. Hawaii has no shortage of natural wonders, but the Haleakala volcano is definitely one of the best, also known as the Haleakala. I hope I'm saying it right. Crater due to the erosion at the top. This natural wonder has some of the best spots for watching the sunset. The top of the volcano emits a frequency that matches the frequency of a human heartbeat. How's that? This frequency creates a motherly and nurturing feeling, which is believed to be the spirit of Maui or Mother Maui or Maui Wowie. That's right. The the wayward son, Maui Wowie. I know that guy. The Great Pyramid of Giza. Regarded as one of the seven wonders of the world, the Great Pyramid of Giza is one of the oldest pyramids constructed around 2,550 to 2,490 BC, even though now they think it's much older, especially with some of the things around it. It's a lot older. So the structure is a mecca of Egyptian history, but nobody knows what the hell it was. It was for what they did. They never found anybody buried there. They think it was going to be a tomb or whatever. And this, a lot of people think it's a big engine, believe it or not, that can create electricity. So, Mount Shasta, California, of course, one of our big military bases down in Mount Shasta, located 60 miles south of the Oregon California state line. Mount Shasta stands tall. This natural formation is a snowy and still active volcano. The mountain is said to attract people who seek spiritual growth, transcendence, and healing. More than 25,000 people visit the mountain each year, and they suck it in. They suck it in. Take all that. The Mayan ruins in Tulum, Mexico, overlooking the Caribbean. The Mayan ruins are an ancient marvel built on the Yucatan Peninsula, about 80 miles south of Cancun. This section of Tulum was once the home of the Mayan people in the 13th century. Tulum served as one of the major seaports for the Mayan people and acted as a hub for trade in jade and all the turquoise and good stuff. Let's see. Okay. Machu Picchu. We're running out of time, so I got to kind of move it a little bit. Machu Picchu in Peru. Once home to the Incas, Machu Picchu is one of the most serene places in the world, although the altitude change and a massive hike might make it difficult. Yeah, it's like freaking 12,000 feet up there, man. Whoever was up there in that civilization didn't want anybody messing with them. And they were all the way up there, man. You know, even above the tree line. That's interesting. It's thought to hold spiritual energy underground. This trapped energy radiates throughout the site and is said to promote physical healing and spiritual awakening. And Uluru in Australia, formerly known as Ayers Rock. Uluru is located in Australia's Northern Territory. The large red monolith of rock is one of the country's most famous attractions. The Aboriginal people of Australia have a legend surrounding Uluru called Dream Time, a ritual that has yet to be completed at the rock formation. Huh. It's said that once this ritual is complete, perfection will spread throughout the world and the death will disappear. That's nice. It'll just be a bunch of zombies walking around. So the deal is, this is the deal. People get into weird rituals. You know, like in Indonesia, they have a sacred tree, and you have this influencer chick who got naked on the sacred tree, and they want to like chop her head off, and they banned her, and all this other stuff. People get crazy. Who cares if someone gets naked on a tree? You see, when you start having sacred trees and sacred cows and all this other stuff, you messed up. You're too primitive. You're focusing on something that is beyond your spiritual of awakening, let's say. But some people are very limited, and sometimes when you deal with limited people, you can't talk about things like that. You know, you start talking to devout religious people about all kinds of paranormal stuff, they go off the wall. They get crazy, man. They get all scared. They don't want to hear it. I don't know. They're the ones talking about demons all the time. So there. So anyway, I hope you got something out of the show. Check out those ley lines and check out those sites. If you have the dosh, right? If you got the dinero, you can go to England. Maybe you live close by there. Check out Stonehenge, or you can go see the pyramids. And I think that these energy spots could be in many, many places. Especially, I mean, there's places I can ram off of, like down by the ocean, where different things come together, and you have to look at the earth and what it is, and what promotes what as energy comes out. But what do you do with the energy? That's my big question. When people go and they have all this energy, I see these ladies doing yoga, putting their hands together and kind of doing their thing. I love that, man, because they're having fun. They're gone to a place. They're getting something out of there. No matter what they think they got out of the place, it doesn't really matter. It just matters that it promotes good energy within the side of them. If they did get something out of the place, you know, can you feel that energy in a lot of places? Yes. Can you stimulate that energy within yourself? Absolutely. Because we are the antennas for this information. We are connected. You know how the internet's connected? Is how ley lines are connected? Is how we're connected. All of these things are bits of communication, and it all depends what you do with it. What you do with it. That's the most important thing. I will see you guys next week on this here show on the Red Pill News. I love you all. I'm going to say goodbye from United Public Radio Network, UPRNTalkRadio.com, y'all. I see they haven't cut me off yet, so I'm going to continue on, man. I'll do the coffee song. Joe Montaldo says,